Okay. It's on there. Hare Krishna. I've been deputed to read from the book The Golden Staircase by His Divine Grace Swami B.R. Sridhar. My mother Saraswati, because she said that they're reading Chaitanya Charitamrita in the morning. So normally, as per the traditional workings in the mat in India, then they read in the evening. So she asked me to read this instead, the Golden Staircase. And this is chapter 2, the eye to see Sri Guru. And the devotee asks, he's asking to Srila Guru Maharaj, we are often told regarding the Guru and the Shishya that if the Shishya is not successful in becoming a completely pure devotee in this life, then the Guru will return by taking another birth. But does the Guru personally take another birth? And Guru Maharaj answers, the relationship must continue. Whether that particular soul who was delegated as the Guru in the previous life will personally come, whether he will again be sent or not, there's no guarantee, but in any case, the disciple will maintain his awareness of that higher connection. He will recognize it just as it was in former stages. Although it may be in a different form, it will not be unknown to him, and he will also perceive that I am not unknown to my master, but a Guru's external form may not be similar. Suppose a disciple takes his next birth in a particular country or a particular sect. The Guru may also appear in a particular country or a particular sect. I presume by sect he means religious tradition, faith tradition, etc. But that the disciple will again come exactly in the same position as before, that may not be. And that the Guru will also come as he did previously in that fixed position, that also may not be. But they will be able to recognize one another. The Guru will know about the disciple's previous life, and the disciple will also think, he knows everything about me. With such broadness of vision, we are to look at our Guru Maharaj. So Guru Tattva means it is Shakshad Hoditvena, not only the person, but the person plus something more. And that arrangement is made by the Lord, or his Swarup Shakti. But whatever the external circumstance, there will be no disturbance regarding the path for the disciple. So the real disciplic succession, as we understand, is by Shiksha, particularly. And the Diksha is the form that the initiation takes according to the tradition. Just as you are necessary for the transmission of electrical current, it's necessary in the general sense to have some apparatus for that, i.e., some wire through which the electricity will flow. But electricity, like lightning, can come to anybody, anytime, anywhere. Similarly, the Lord's mercy or initiation into transcendental knowledge can come from the Lord directly to any soul. It's not necessary to go through the paraphernalia of the Diksha system. However, that is the normal and general way in which it is done, as is already given by Sri Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita, Evam Parampara Praptam, in the beginning of the 4th chapter, where he explains in the beginning, I gave this knowledge to the Surya, and Surya to Manu, Ikshvaku, and this way the knowledge came down, but it's become vitiated by material atmosphere. So today again, Arjuna, I'm giving that same knowledge to you. So a disciplic succession like that has to be restored, re-energized, and even in some cases reactivated at certain periods in Kala, in time, in history, and so forth. But the real succession or the real transmission is through sound, divine sound. For example, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we were reading that when the Lord was travelling in the jungle of Jharkhand, extraordinary manifestations were taking place, which appear to us to be certainly miraculous, if not unbelievable, to the material mind. How is it that by somebody chanting, then tigers and deer and boars and rhinoceroses are dancing and chanting? Well, first of all, this knowledge is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and this was coming from the Kavacha, the diary of Sripad B.S. Goswami, and possibly some other sources collected. So, Kaviraj Goswami, at the end of many chapters of his book, he says, who does not believe or cannot believe these divine pastimes of the Lord, they are an atheist and will have to go to hell for many births. So we better believe it, right? But the thing is, how is that possible? But if you think about it, actually, as Guru Maharaj explained, what does it mean? Tiger's body, deer's body. So animal body is really the mentality of the jiva's soul has become covered by the modes of nature, Rajagun, Tamagun, and so they've taken such a body. Of course, the tiger's body is very much in Rajasic nature. If you see a tiger, well, when they put them in the cage in the zoo, which we don't like to see very much, but this tiger will be pacing up and down. It's conducted very much by the Rajagun, the mode of passion, the active mode. And then you have your boar, your deer, these animals are mentioned. So as the Lord was going through the jungle, he was passing through them. And I said to the devotees, it doesn't mean like a ghost. He's going through their bodies. No, it means they're giving way to him in the path, so he can go. And then when he's chanting, they're dancing and chanting. So Guru Maharaj explained like that, the vibration of Krishna Nam coming from Mahaprabhu was so pure and so clear and so surcharged with transcendental potency that it, like a laser beam, it could pierce through all the coverings of the tiger's body, gross and subtle, and actually enter into the Atma and awaken the Atma. Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago. So when the Atma is awakened, the natural thing is to chant Hare Krishna, to praise the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So in this way, tigers are dancing, and not just dancing, the tigers and the deer are embracing and kissing. And Balabhadra Bhattacharya was the assistant there with Mahaprabhu in the jungle, carrying his things and also getting food from different villages and cooking for him. He was astonished. Wow, I couldn't believe what he was seeing on this. And so then, when the Lord was chanting, when he'd come to a village and he'd be chanting in ecstasy, so one person would hear the chanting and he would then go to his village and be chanting ecstatically, then whoever heard him would be chanting ecstatically. And this way, this is the real disciplic succession, that the sound vibration is passing through, and it's so pure that who's hearing that, they're becoming a pure devotee. And then their chanting then is Shuddhanam to the next jiva, and they're also becoming transformed in this way. So he's explaining in the commentary there, the purport, Srila Prabhupada, and this is a real disciplic succession. Doesn't just mean an old man in red robes sitting on a big chair with a lot of people in the audience. It can mean that. It may take that form, it may not take that form. Generally in the tradition, it's like that. But we have to be open and be aware that where is the substance, and the form, so about substance and form, this very important point. So we expect the form also. For example, we offer respect to the cloth. As Srila Prabhupada said, even a Mayavadi, we don't want their association and we steer clear of it. But if we see that, we offer some respect because of the meaning of the cloth. That is some kind of renunciation or dedication, especially in the case of Vaishnava. And so similarly, the opportunity of personal service to a great soul, a sadhu and guru, we worship their boot, their shoe. But does that mean their boot, their shoe is more important than their vibration? What is emanating from their vani? Because the vani is eternal. The boot, the shoe, that is there only for some time. It's coming, manifesting to our vision, and then disappearing again. Vyakt and avyakt. This is happening. So that's not the real thing or the ultimate thing. Therefore, if we have the opportunity of a very good high association to take advantage of that, advantage means just like someone gets some capital in their business, if they get some capital, by using that wisely, they can create more and more. And that more and more, then that is a good backing in the times of need, possibly in the future, when there's not much capital around the place. So they will have that in their stock, you see. So in the presence of a great soul, try to understand what it is they're teaching, just like when devotee asked the Guru Maharaj in Navadvip, what service would you like me to do here? And of course there are many practical services, gardening, cleaning, helping with the kitchen things and all that. But he said, after thinking for a few moments, he said, if you can understand what I am for, what I'm living for, what is the purpose of my life, what is my energy going for that, and if you can understand that and follow that way, that will please me, and that's the best service. Then the service practically may take many forms, may manifest in many different ways. But the first thing has to be the substance. Then it will take different forms after that. So then the devotee here, he asks, I don't know if this is correct, but I've heard it said that if the disciple is not spiritually successful, then the Guru may not return back to Godhead, but remain in this universe. He may not return to Krishna until the disciple can also go. But then Guru Maharaj says, if that's the case, then no Guru can ever return to Krishna at any time, because the continuation of the disciples will go on, so he will have no final result at any time in his life. So, in other words, the disciples, the practitioners and the aspirants, they're sometimes leaving, going, coming and going. So that means the Guru then will have to stay in the material world eternally to save them all. Is that right? No. We cannot think that it is so. Sometimes he may be deputed himself, or others also may be deputed in that case. But the inner instruction and inner feeling and paraphernalia will be such that in any case the disciples will have no trouble. The officer may change, but the function will go on smoothly. So the Guru may return, Nam Guru, Mantra Guru, Sannyas Guru, they're all Gurus, but we must recognize something similar in them, and hence we are given the statement about the ontological aspects of Guru, Shakshad Haditvena Samasta. I myself appear as the Guru, who is simultaneously and inconceivably one with and different from myself. So the function is one thing and the form is another thing. It's like then they sometimes have a cabinet reshuffle in the government. So Minister of Transport, Minister of Education, Minister for Medicine. So the minister may change. One goes out, another one comes in. But the function is still there, remains the same. Krishna says, Acharya mam vijaniyat. You should look there for me. I am there. I am your Guru. With my different types of Shakti, by the Jiva's recruitment or by any other way, it is my function to take you up to a different place. In every case, I am there. I am there in my Madhura Rasa Shakti or Shaka Rasa Shakti, my Vatsalya Rasa Shakti, Dasya Rasa Shakti, and in a general way also. Sometimes one may be recruited by the Ramanuja Sampradaya and then be converted to join the Krishna Sampradaya, the Gaudiya Sampradaya. That is also possible. We are to remember the eternal link. And then the devotee says, so if someone says that the Guru himself will personally come back, that is a mundane conception, a wrong conception. Sripad Maharaj, yes, the main thread is there, but it will not always appear in the same form. Although to the beginners one may say that he will come back, quote unquote, ultimately we find that a disciple may even be transferred into another section and then another section, so that he may gradually reach his destination. The truth moves in a zigzag way, right? According to the unfolding of his inner necessity, the departmental change may occur, and he will always perceive his own Guru in newer and newer ways. At first sight, he perceived his Guru to be of one type, then again, with progress, he will see the same Guru in another way, and thereafter another new characteristic will be found in his Gurudev. The disciple will feel, I couldn't detect so much in my Guru in the beginning. I saw him in one particular way, but now I find that he's something more, and then he's still more. In this way there is divine unfoldment. So this is the thing about this is that about this form and substance subject. You know, we talk about it and we may very easily throw the words around. Oh yeah, so Sripad Maharaj said form of substance is more important than form. We have to be careful also, because we're not like, as Sripad Maharaj, he did say, I'm a form breaker. I'm not a form maker, I'm a form breaker. So in that way, but not to have hatred, because if we develop hatred for the form, right, that won't be healthy either, because then we will enter into a kind of Gnostic dualism, where we see spirit is good, happy and beautiful, Sat Chit Anand, and material world, matter, is gross, ugly, dark, painful, unpleasant, disgusting, and to be rejected. In the book of Genesis in the Bible, when it describes that God created the world, it's telling in 7 days. But what are these days? It doesn't necessarily mean days of 24 hours in our own conception. It means that there was a gradual unfoldment, a process of unfoldment, evolution, or in this case, devolution, from spirit to matter. And so when every day after God created, the earth, and then, first of all, he divided the firmament, the heavens, from the waters. And God saw that it was good. And second day, he created the earth. And God saw that it was good. It's good. What he's done is good. So material world's not bad, it's good. But it's the Chaya Shakti, the shadow potency of the Lord. And so therefore, because of the time factor, it is innovating and it is tending always to dissolution. That's the problem. So not that we reject it as bad, and otherwise we have this body and these senses, and we have to use them in the service of the Lord. And so that's all very good, of course. So we're talking about unfoldment. So Guru Maharaj is saying there's unfoldment in this world, and also in the higher domain there's also unfoldment. So everything is progressive, developing, positive and progressive immortality, not static. So empowerment, Shaktivesh, that may be a temporary contingency according to time, place and circumstance, or it may be also permanent. We talk about the Sadguru, that is permanent. But there are also many Shiksha Gurus we have in our life as we go through life, and we will get help from them. In the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, the song of the Avadut Brahmin, and I think it was Yayati Maharaj, one Maharaj was very impressed to see this young man wandering freely over the surface of the earth, apparently with no particular engagement. And he asked him, I see you're very fair of face and full of grace and wandering freely. And how have you attained this stage, and what are you doing? So then this Brahmin explained to him in his travels that he'd taken instructions or taken advice and guidance for his life from 24 gurus, which he then goes through one by one by one. The earth for stability, and the mount, many, including there is also the prostitute Pingala, and this from her he learned detachment. She was touting for customers late at night. So she'd stand by the door of her house, facing onto the street, and the men would be walking past, and she'd look at one and she'd think, oh, this man, he looks wealthy, he looks good, he will come to my house, give me so much enjoyment and so much money. But then the man he walked past, maybe this one, this next one coming, yes, definitely, I think he will satisfy me and give plenty of money. But he also walked past. In this way, she was waiting up to the midnight hour, and no takers, no prospects. So she felt a great change in her mind. She went into a house and lay down on her bed, and she started to think, what is this? Touting and touting and touting for some very insignificant enjoyment and money and things. And she felt a great detachment arose in herself. It doesn't tell her later future history of how she became Vaishnava or any such thing. But the Brahmin, he learned the example from her about detachment. And another one was the young girl in the house. And the men came to the house one day. They were actually searching for a wife to be married. But her father, the young girl's father or relatives were away. She was on her own in the house. So she went in the kitchen to start making food to serve the guests. Because, in Vedic culture, the guest is as good as God, right? And even in the old times in Ireland, it was the custom that when you'd lay the table for a meal, however many members of the family would be there, or other relatives, you'd have one spare empty place for the unknown guest, in case anybody came from outside and was hungry and they could eat. So anyway, she's in the kitchen preparing the chapatis, and she's rolling the dough with the pin, but the bangles on her wrists are clashing together, and she thought this would be disturbing to these people. So she gradually took some off one side and some off the other side. Then the sound was less, and gradually she went down and down, and in the end there's only 2 on each arm. But still, as she was kneading the dough, they were making a noise. So she took one off, and then there was only 1 on each arm and no sound. Very happy. So from this example, the Brahmin learned that many people living together is always going to be some clash. And that's why in this beautiful temple of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, Bhakti Yoga Institute, West London, such a beautiful place, and to keep harmony in the place among the residents, not always very easy. So from this example he learned better to live alone. As in Gita, Krishna says, devotee or person interested in developing knowledge, spiritual knowledge, will live alone in a solitary place. But we can interpret this to mean they will not mix with ordinary people, materialistic people. This asat sangha. Two types of asat sangha. Asat sangha chag e vaishnava cha. Mahaprabhu said when they asked him, who's a devotee? There's many, many answers you could give to this. And different times he said different things. Another occasion he said about Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam, he described that. On this occasion he said, Asat Sangha Chag E Vaishnava Cha. That what defines the behavior of a Vaishnava is that he avoids bad association of materialists and impersonalists, both. So generally, devotee will keep himself not necessarily physically solitary or isolated, but they must have a spiritual environment or space in which they can practice Krishna consciousness. And the temple is very good, very conducive to that. But at the same time, because of our material conditioning, sometimes there's a clash. The samskars are clashing together. For example, many devotees living together, but the common thread or the common point is the Krishna consciousness. That they all have love for Krishna, some attachment for Krishna and Krishna consciousness. And therefore they can live together. But materially, if you see these devotees, like in the material world, they're so different. There's no way they would be associating together. Because birds of a feather flock together and it just wouldn't be happening. But it can happen because of the commonality of Krishna consciousness. That is very wonderful, very nice thing. So, one of Guru Maharaj's favourite themes always is talking about this positive and progressive immortality and the development, the progress, unfoldment of consciousness. So everything is like that. Everything is developing one thing from another, from another, from another. Even materially, as devolving from the more subtle plane to the more gross, from the ether, the air, from the air, the fire, from the fire, the water, from the water, the earth, from subtle to gross. And similarly, development the other way, from gross to subtle, such as the most subtle form of, in the material sphere, everybody reveres the sadhu, the sage. You can imagine the sadhu living in the cave or on the mountaintop, just in meditation, just with his Atma and Paramatma connection. So that is the highest stage in the material world. From going from the gross, from the earth, water, fire, air, then the etheric plane, and beyond that, right, to mind, intelligence, as ego, and beyond that also into the Atma. And so that Shanta Rasa expression is there. Like if you see on the front of the book by Srila Prabhupada, have you seen Easy Journey to Other Planets? That's one yogi, and it's showing the chakras with the different petals in the body, and then above is like a lotus, Radha Krishna. So this person is a mystic bhakti yogi. That's described in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But that stage of Shanta Rasa in the spiritual is just the first level, the basic level. The Shanta Rasa in the spiritual realm, Vaikuntha, Golok, the trees, the water, right? So-called inanimate beings. But in the spiritual world, these so-called inanimate entities, they're all fully conscious. And not just conscious, but Krishna conscious, actually super conscious. So their consciousness, or the consciousness of even the dust, is higher than any consciousness we could attain in the material world through development in jnana, in knowledge, or understanding spiritually. And even in bhakti, Guru Maharaj says that we enter there walking on our head, right? We can't walk on our feet. Because if you walk on your feet, that means you're above that thing you're walking on. But there, everything is above us. Every Atma constituting that world is Chintamani. It's made of Satchit Ananda. So there we're going to enter there as the lowest, in the primary level. And we'll be, everyone is our guru, our guardian, helping us, guiding us, taking us to Krishna. So the unfoldment downwards, gross, subtle to gross, and then from going up also, is progressing, always progressing. Nothing is static, everything is moving. We know, according to quantum physics, everything is in a state of motion. And there's no matter is really, it's just a level of vibration that's quite low and quite slow and gross, vibrational level. But everything is moving. If we see any material item, it looks to be solid. It's really not solid. Most of it's actually space, with a few atoms going around, a few molecules going around. And the proof of that is, if you come back in 50 years, 100 years, or definitely 1,000 years, that solid table will be a pile of dust, will be completely dissolved due to time, and then it will be recycled into the pradhan. And then in the next manifestation it will come out in another form. So even if materially everything is moving and is in a state of dynamism and progress, then what to speak of spiritually? Spiritually can't be static, because as above, so below. The material world is supposed to be a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So wherever there is unfoldment, then we can understand that from the upper side there is Guru. Guru Dev is my guide, and as I progress, guidance of different types will be necessary for me. Always new guidance, and my progress will take me into different places, and there a new type of guidance, a new life will again come. In this way, dynamic life is going on, and the main thread is there, Raso Vai Saha, the pure rasa, pure ecstasy. And my inner heart will approve, yes, I want this. This is my fate, this is my fortune. Otherwise, if any Madham Adhikari is appointed as Guru and has so many disciples, and if he is to come back again and again, then he could never enter into Nitya Leela. But that cannot be so. In any case, whoever is connected with a genuine Guru will be satisfied, because the Lord is present there. So Acharya Mam Vijaniyat is not only a name only, it has a very specific purpose. Krishna says, don't try to limit the Acharya. You may have come up to a high position, but will you then think that you've surpassed that Acharya through whom you received your initial instruction in spiritual life? No, Nava Manyata. Don't think that there is less in him. Don't consider him to be of lower position. Nava Manyata. I myself was there. I was there in your primary teacher, in your college level teacher, and I am there in your postgraduate professor also. So Nava Manyata. Don't look at only the outside. I myself am your guide in different forms. It is I. So, of course, there are specific cases where it may seem that the disciple can surpass the Guru. Yes. That's a specific case, or also the case where the teacher may direct the disciple to another teacher who he considers more than himself, higher than himself. And he may think, I've taught you as much as possible for me, now you go to this person for further education. There's examples in the scripture of that also. Well, there are specific exceptional cases. We're talking the general case. So, this is, mentioned here. We have some minutes. About Dhruva Maharaj, 4th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, in the story of Dhruva Maharaj, and there Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada writes in his commentary that Dhruva Maharaj was a very powerful devotee and could take his mother back to Godhead. And Swami Maharaj wrote, quote, "If one of my disciples becomes as strong as Dhruva Maharaj, then he can take me back to Godhead." This statement seems very mysterious. Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Dhruva's mother was his guru, his Vatma Pradarshaka guru, his first guide, just as Chintamani was in the case of Bilvamangal Thakur. Through Chintamani, that Krishna function as Acharya came as Vatma Pradarshak. And in a similar way, Dhruva was initially inspired by his mother. His first spiritual instruction was from her, because initially Dhruva Maharaj, he had a mundane motivation or mundane goal. He wanted to seize the kingdom from his father. He was 5 years old and his father threw him from his lap. His mother, stepmother, put him down from her lap and sort of rejected him. And he was very upset because of his nature as Kshatriya in the Rajagun. He became very upset and he wants to get the kingdom back. So he asked his mother, his natural mother, "Mother, how can I find God? Only God can help me in this work." And she said, "I've heard that the sages go in the forest and meditate, and in this way they realize the Lord. So I suggest you do that." So that's what he did initially. She set him on the path, on the spiritual path. After that, he received guidance from Narad, and then because of his bhajan continuing, he attained the next stage and then again went further. But his initial Vatman Pradarshak guru was his mother, so when Dhruva Maharaj was to leave the world in his self-same body, incidentally, that was another very extraordinary thing, something like the Pandavas, when they went back, they didn't have to die in the normal sense of leave the body, but in their self-same body. That means their body must have become completely spiritualized, of course, to enter the spiritual plane. So when the airship landed, and Dhruva Maharaj stepped aboard, then he suddenly remembered, "Oh, my mother. What about my mother? She's the cause of all of this, of her first instruction. So I don't like to go with my mother. She must also come." So the mother came then. Qualified or unqualified, she came. Yeah. Now, but it mentions here, Guru Maharaj says, we have to consider the past lives of Dhruva and his mother. In his past life, before being Dhruva Maharaj, born as Dhruva Maharaj, he'd made more progress, but then in that life, as Dhruva, it was arranged by the Lord that his mother would get him started in the proper direction, and thereafter he adopted the path of bhajan. So we know that from Bhagavad Gita, not necessarily this is the case with Dhruva Maharaj, that he was yoga brashta. Yoga brashta means a fallen yogi. Or that means someone has attained a certain stage spiritually and for some reason or another has either left the path for the time being or become deviated, or there is some break, some interruption in their line of progress. But then in their next birth, Krishna assures Arjuna that they will again continue from that point. So the point is that it appeared that Dhruva Maharaj, as a small boy, was a simple boy with no knowledge or no spiritual capital, apparently. But that was all there in him from previous birth. But it was arranged that his mother would set, in this life, would set him on the spiritual path. So yes, form and substance, absolute and relative. These themes are constantly recurring in Srila Guru Maharaj's ontology. So I'm just finishing there. This very nice book, Golden Staircase, was it? The Golden Staircase, yes. This was done, let me see, 1993. I had some part in preparing the transcriptions and preparing the book, for publication. That was way back in 93. But still, it's a very... after Search for Sri Krishna, Sri Guru and His Grace, Golden Volcano of Divine Love, and possibly Lord's Loving Search for the Lost Servant, I think those 4 books were then existing. Subjective Evolution was the next one, I can't remember, but this book then was coming after that, and some others after that. So, Hare Krishna. I'm going to request Prabhu to sing the final refrain.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. I'll play this.
Hari Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Gopala Govinda Rama Srimati Sudhana.
Hari Gopinath Madana Mohana. Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra. Gadadhara Shiva Shari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Rup Sanatan Bhata Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Dasha Raghunath. Chai Koshai Kori Charanamana. Vaishnava Bande Machaiya Mana Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyasa Harinam Sankirtan Gohi Narasamuda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki, Jai Shri Sriman Mahaprabhu Giriraj Prabhu ki, Jai Bhakti Vignashna Bhagavan Singh Deva ki, Bhakta Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki, Grantaraj Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Brahmavidya Bhakta Vrinda ki, Kaunkatel ki, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki, Gaur Premanande